Welcome, Aneta. You're speaking at the Cozy Big Summit here coming up, and I'm going to read this to make sure I get it right. It's Thriving Beyond Hustle, Building a Business and Life You Love. I mean, in a few sentences, could you give me what inspired you to come up with that?
Absolutely. So I started my own business 5.5 years ago, and there's definitely things that I learned about myself and learned about entrepreneurship in the process. And one is that many entrepreneurs start their business because they really are passionate about what they're doing, about the clients that they're serving, and they push themselves sometimes beyond their own limits. And what we're seeing in the world and seeing in entrepreneurship as well is that burnout continues to increase for many individuals. Many entrepreneurs are struggling with not sleeping enough. They are struggling with really pushing themselves beyond what their mental health tells them that they should be doing. So my topic is really how can you support your business in a way by supporting yourself first? How do you take care of yourself as a person, your mind, your body, your spirit, all those things that are really important. And then you build a business and a life that is integrated that you love. So that's why I'm doing it, just because I think it's relevant for so many of us. And I know what I need to do for myself personally in order to make sure that I continue to keep myself healthy in the process.
For sure. And I know you mentioned a lot of the health things. The first thing that comes to mind to me is in the airplane when they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first.
That's right.
Before you try and help someone else, because you got to make sure you're healthy enough to do that. You mentioned, I saw something here too, that you had a definition of hustle mentality. What are some of the downsides? I know you said some of the sleep, some of the other things. When, as a business owner myself, I get this and I see it sometimes. What are some of the big downsides when we get into that hustle mentality?
Yeah, so I think if we are hustling and we're not intentionally deciding how we're going to spend our time, we can over-index on work and maybe push ourselves to the limits where we start to realize, oh, I'm not feeling well. My immune system's down. Maybe I'm not sleeping great. I'm starting to have a lot of anxious thoughts. And so what I mean by thriving beyond the hustle is choosing to be more intentional, choosing to be more present, to say, what do I need? What do I need for my energy, for my health, in order to show up as the best version of myself at work, for my clients, for my family, etc. And then making sure that we intentionally design our days and where we choose to spend our time around that. If we are just in the hustle, we're very much in a strong masculine energy, which is not gender specific. There's yin yang, if we want to talk about it that way, masculine, feminine energies. The feminine is strategy, it's flow, it's creativity, it's the space where we get a lot of great ideas, we get the big ideas. And then the hustle is more of we're going to just push really hard, and regardless of the consequences.
Makes sense. I mean, you mentioned it's funny. Each thing that I've had on my list here to talk about, you said thriving beyond hustle. And that is the big piece of my next question. With the Big Summit, we're focusing on actionable items with all of the speakers. That's been the big goal. What's one or two basic elements that you feel like people will come out of this with that they can apply right away?
Yeah, so I love talking about our nervous system and a little bit about neuroscience. And so I want to help explain what our body is actually doing when we are in a dysregulated nervous system state, and then teach them some practical tips like breath work or meditation and how to create routines that are really supportive. So part of the time that we will be spending is educational, and the other part is really community discussion and then action planning. So people can leave and say, wow, I left and I'm making the commitment to myself to do 1, 2, or 3 new things that I know are going to help me going forward in my personal life and my business.
That's awesome. So people are going to leave with tools that they can enact that evening if they wanted to, in order to make sure that they're kind of getting out of that. I love that. With this, I mean, what are some of the traps that you see that, trap people, I guess I would say, in that hustle mentality?
It's what we've been taught. If you think about it,
Sure.
it's like from the time we were young in school and even in college, as you're cramming, how many nights did you stay up studying all night? And then if you worked even in the corporate world, there's deadlines. So I think we're just used to it. We're used to pushing. We're used to using caffeine or other stimulants just to kind of push beyond what maybe we're comfortable with. So we're used to it. I think that also in our Western society, there's a stigma with rest. We don't even just the sheer fact that people have a hard time sleeping. When I tell people that 98% of the population needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep, people laugh and they say, that's crazy. I never get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And so I think sometimes we wear hard work and pushing really, beyond what we should as a badge of honor. And so I think it's conditioning. I think a lot of times it's the way we were raised. I was raised that way too. And I'm still have to remind myself every day to say, wow, why don't you take a break? Go walk outside. It's not going to be the end of the world if you give yourself a 20-minute lunch break, for example.
Right.
So I think it's just unlearning some things that we've been conditioned since we were really small.
It's funny, you said it was 98% of the population needs that amount. It's amazing how about 75% of the population thinks they're the 2% of the population.
They do.
That is...
They're like, I need 4. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, probably not.
Somehow that math just doesn't seem to add up. That being said, what are you most excited about in being able to speak at the big summit here coming up?
I love meeting entrepreneurs. I think that being in the company of people who are so passionate and have taken a chance on themselves, and because they are so passionate about the clients that they serve, about their mission, is really energizing, and it's so exciting. And I'm here to help and to say, you know what? You are going to be even more successful by your own definition and probably what your clients need by taking better care of yourself. And it doesn't require revamping of your entire world. It's just teaching you a few things that you can do. All of these things are free. All of these things are teachable very quickly. So I'm excited about just imparting some of that knowledge and just getting people excited again, especially if they find themselves burned out or a little bit stressed or anxious, which we have stats on all that, just to say you're not the only one, and here's some permission to do some new things. And I promise it's only going to make you more successful.
I love it. And I think in that you kind of answered my next question, because that's really, what do you hope attendees take away from your presentation?
Action. I want them to say, you know what? I feel empowered. I feel better educated, and I feel like I know exactly what I can do when I leave here, and also to share that with their family, because anything I share is applicable to any human. It doesn't have to be just for entrepreneurs. So I hope that they bring that home to their family, to their friends, and maybe find some accountability partners too.
Oh, I love the accountability partners. Make sure that, yes, you're doing the things. Totally makes sense. If there's someone that is considering attending the big summit, maybe on the fence, what would you tell them to convince them to show up October 15th?
I've never regretted taking time and learning something or being in the company of others. I think that it's really lonely sometimes being an entrepreneur, and it's very difficult for us to give ourselves permission to take a day out of the office or to take time away. But just looking at the other presenters, looking at the topic, I think that people are going to get a lot of value out of all the presentations, not just mine. And they might make some friends in the process, learn something new, give themselves even just a day where their mind is off their business. But maybe that's the day that some big idea comes through because they gave themselves a little bit of space.
Makes sense. I absolutely love it. Well, for everyone, I am definitely looking forward to what you're talking about on the whole thing of thriving beyond the hustle, because I feel like I'm one of those 75%ers that feels like they're in the 2%. So definitely something that I should probably show up to also. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I really thank you for the time today.
Thank you, Josh. It's a pleasure.